The Assembly will now come to order. The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson, Assemblywoman Backus, Assemblywoman Bilber Axelrod, Assemblywoman Brown May, Assemblyman Carter, Assemblywoman Cohen, Assemblywoman Considine, Assemblyman DeLong, Assemblywoman Dickman, Assemblyman De Silva, Assemblywoman Duran, Assemblywoman Gallant, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Gorlow, Assemblyman Gray, Assemblyman Gurr, Assemblyman Hafen, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblyman Hibbets, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblyman Koenig, Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch, Assemblywoman Marzola, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblyman C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Assemblywoman Mosca, Assemblywoman Newby, Assemblyman Wynn, Assemblyman O'Neill, Assemblyman Orlicker, Assemblywoman Peters, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, Assemblywoman Taylor, Assemblywoman Thomas, Assemblywoman Torres, Assemblyman Watts, Assemblyman Urich, Assemblywoman Backus, Speaker Yeager.
Here. Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect we have 41 members present, 1 absent excused.
The record shall so reflect we have 41 members present, 1 absent excused. That means we do have a quorum. Would members of the Assembly and guests please rise? We have the prayer this morning by Chaplain Craig Swope, First Christian Church, right here in Carson City.
Good morning. Beautiful day. Father, we thank you for springtime. Springtime's always special with signs of life, beautiful colors, a freshness that draws us to hope and renewal. Each of us has an opportunity to be a source of hope and renewal. Do our actions produce a colorful bloom, or do we present the thorns and thistles? Do our words bring a freshness to the conversation? Do our thoughts produce seeds of life? Help us to look around at nature, see the signs of vibrant life, and draw lessons for our own actions to affirm the hope of spring each and every day. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Order business 2, reading and approval of the journal.
Carson City, Monday, May
Assemblywoman
15.
Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with the reading of the journal and allow the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make any necessary corrections and additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order business 4, reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Commerce and Labor, to which was referred Senate Bill 32, has had the same under consideration and begs leave to report the same back with the recommendation amended due pass as amended. Elaine Marzola, Chair. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Natural Resources, to which were referred Senate Bills 13, 113, 115, has had the same under consideration and begs leave to report the same back with the recommendation due pass. Leslie E. Cohen, Chair.
Order business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, May 15, 2023. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Bill 452, Assembly Bills 27, 29, 236, 276, and I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed as amended Senate Bills 159, 167, 275. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Order business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices. Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Joint Resolution number 7 be taken from its place on resolution file and be placed on the resolution file of the next legislative day.
Assemblywoman Howdigi has moved that Senate Joint Resolution number 7 of the 81st session be taken from its place on the resolution file and be moved to the resolution file on the next legislative day. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Notice of exemption, May 15, 2023. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Study Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Senate Bill 3868. Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division.
Order business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference of bills.
Assembly Bill 514, introduced by emergency request of Assembly Minority Leader Assemblyman O'Neill and Yeager. An act relating to public buildings, naming the building that contains the headquarters for the Nevada Department of Transportation in Carson City, Nevada as the Garth Dole Building and providing other matters properly named thereto.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer AB 514 to your most exhausted Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 159 introduced by Senator Hammond, an act relating to pest control, requiring the Director of the State Department of Agriculture to adopt regulations to authorize a person to train as an applicator to engage in pest control activities under certain circumstances, providing penalty and providing other matters properly named thereto.
Assemblywoman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to refer SB 159 to your Committee on Natural Resources.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 167, introduced by Senators Don Loop et al., Assemblywoman Thomas, an act relating to insurance prohibiting the imposition of a step therapy protocol for a drug prescribed to treat a psychiatric condition under certain circumstances and providing other matters properly named thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 167 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 275, introduced by Senators Daly and Ornschall, an act related to manufactured home parks, requiring the Housing Division of the Department of Business and Industry to calculate annually and publish a maximum annual rent increase percentage in manufactured home parks, authorizing certain persons to apply for an exemption to certain requirements relating to increases in rent, revising certain requirements related to increases in rent for certain tenancies in manufactured home parks, and providing other matters properly in there too.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 275 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Senate Bill 452, introduced by the Committee on Finance, an act relating to governmental financial administration, revising provisions governing the allocation of a portion of the proceeds of the basic governmental services tax and providing other matters properly in there too.
Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Senate Bill 452 be referred to your Committee on Ways and Means.
Without objection, so referred. That will take us to Order of Business 11, second reading and amendment.
Senate Bill 2, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to emergency management, revising provisions relating to the State Disaster Identification Coordination Committee of the Division of Emergency Management of the Office of the Military, transferring the duty to adopt regulations governing the committee from the Office of the Military to the division, revising provisions relating to the reporting to the committee of certain information regarding the treatment of certain persons, and providing other matters properly named thereto. The people's state of that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 7, end of Section 7, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 3, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to Homeland Security, revising the membership of the Nevada Commission on Homeland Security and providing other matters properly named thereto. The people's state of that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 8, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to juvenile justice, designating criminal investigators employed by the Division of Child and Family Services of the Department of Health and Human Services as Category 2 peace officers and providing other matters properly in there too. The people's state of that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 16, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to the Charter of Carson City, amending provisions relating to the deadline for realigning the boundaries of wards, revising provisions related to the terms of supervisors of Carson City, amending the time limit for the Board of Supervisors of Carson City to adopt or reject an ordinance or amendment, revising provisions related to filling a vacancy in the office of the mayor, and providing other matters properly in there too. The people's state of that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 10, end of Section 10, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 18, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to land use planning, revising requirements regarding the frequency of meetings of planning commissions in certain counties and providing other matters properly in there too. The people's state of that are represented in Senate and Assembly. Do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1. Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are
The
none.
bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 21, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to classification regulations based on population, revising the population bases that apply to certain provisions of the Nevada revised statutes, and providing other measures properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 23, end of Section 23, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 25, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Accolade and Public Works, requiring the State Public Works Board of the State Public Works Division of the Department of Administration to consider certain plans for office space and making certain recommendations to the Governor and Legislature, requiring the division and departments and agencies of the state to cooperate in implementing and maintaining certain plans for office space and providing other measures properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 3, end of Section 3, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 27, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services and relating to excavations, revising provisions governing excavations conducted in areas that are known or reasonably should be known to contain a subsurface installation and providing other measures properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 13, end of Section 13, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 42, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services and relating to Public Welfare, expanding the authorized uses of money in a county fund for medical assistance to indigent persons and providing other measures properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 44, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services and relating to Public Health, transferring the state dental health officer from the Division of Health Care Financing and Policy of the Department of Health and Human Services to the department, revising provisions governing the qualifications for appointment as the state dental health officer or the state public health dental hygienist, transferring the state program for oral health, the advisory committee on the state program for oral health and certain duties from the Division of Public and Behavioral Health to the Department of Health and Human Services to the department, and providing other matters properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 9, end of Section 9, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 66, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure and relating to public safety, establishing certain circumstances under which a person is disqualified from operating a commercial motor vehicle, requiring a court to notify the Department of Motor Vehicles if a person is convicted of certain offenses, prohibiting an employer from allowing a person to operate a commercial motor vehicle under certain circumstances, requiring the department to adopt certain regulations to comply with certain federal regulations, requiring the department to furnish full information regarding a driving record to certain persons upon request, revising provisions relating to railroad grade crossings, revising provisions concerning the crime of involuntary servitude, providing penalties, and providing other measures properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 12, end of Section 12, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 87, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections and relating to state employment, authorizing under certain circumstances and appointing authority to appoint without competition certain persons to fill a position in the classified service of the Executive Department of State Government, and providing other matters properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 2, end of Section 2, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 169, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and relating to land use planning, requiring certain local governments to include a heat mitigation element in master plans, and providing other matters properly in thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 5, end of Section 5, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 210, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, or Government Affairs, and relating to governmental administration, declaring that the public policy of the state of Nevada includes persons appointed to certain public bodies by the governor should reflect the diversity of the state, requiring certain public bodies to submit lists of qualified persons to the governor to fill vacancies on the board, commission, or similar body within 60 days after the vacancy occurs, revising the manner in which the chair and vice chair of the sunset subcommittee of the legislative commission are selected, modifying certain reporting requirements by certain licensing boards and other regulatory bodies concerning the criminal histories of certain applicants and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly to enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 6, end of Section 6, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 406, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, enacting to elections, making it unlawful for a person to use or threaten to attempt to use any force, intimidation, coercion, violence, restraint, or undue influence with the intent to interfere with the performance of duties of an elections official or retaliate against an elections official for the performance of such duties, making it unlawful to disseminate certain information about an elections official, providing penalties, and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 6, end of Section 6, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file.
Senate Bill 437, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, enacted relating to accountants, revising provisions governing the registration by the Nevada State Board of Accountancy of partnerships, corporations, limited liability companies, and sole proprietorships, revising requirements for a person to take an examination for and to obtain a certificate of certified public accountant, removing the requirement that the board charge a fee for an examination for a certificate of certified public accountant, and providing other measures properly laid thereto. The people of the state of Nevada represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows: Section 1, end of Section 1, Section 22, end of Section 22, end of bill.
Are there any amendments to Section 1 of the bill as a whole?
There are none.
The bill is ordered to general file. Under Order of Business 13, unfinished business of the preceding day, there being no objection, the Speaker and Chief Clerk will assign Senate Bill 40, Senate Bill 50, and Senate Bill 441. We are now on Order of Business 15, remarks from the floor. Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod.
Sorry, a little discombobulated there. Today is United Way Day at the Legislature, and an opportunity to acknowledge the efforts and accomplishments of the United Way of Nevada. United Way is one of the world's largest privately funded charities, serving 95% of U.S. communities and 37 countries and territories. Nevada's 2 United Way regional chapters, one focused on Northern Nevada and Sierra, and the other in Southern Nevada, provides essential programs and services throughout our state, including Nevada Ready State Pre-K program, where they partner with private pay child care centers to provide free preschool and federally funded emergency food and shelter programs. They were pivotal during the height of the COVID-19 shutdown by providing quick and effective distribution for over $4.1 million of funding to area agencies to help with food, shelter, and rental assistance. Since 1942, the United Way of Northern Nevada and the Sierra have been serving a unique role for the 13-county region by providing a place where local nonprofit businesses, elected officials, and community members can come together, explore solutions, and help strengthen the Northern Nevada family solutions, like United Readers, a program designed to improve foundational literacy skills by grade 3, and the Dolly Parton Imagine Library. Since 1957, the United Way of Southern Nevada has responsibility for evaluating buildings and maintaining the capacities of nonprofit sector and stand in the center of our community to bring equitable opportunities to the Southern Nevadans by investing in innovative solutions in education, workforce development, community sport, and to create a community where everyone can succeed. We have board members and staff sitting on the floor today. If you would all please stand. Please make me feel welcome by giving them a round of applause. And to learn more about the United Way, check out the displays on the first and second floor. Welcome.
Do we have any other Order of Business 15 remarks from the floor? Assemblyman Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I've got one of my constituents visiting today, Matthew Wilkie. Stand up, say hi to everybody. If you could all just join me in welcoming him to this body. He's actually very in tune with what's going on here. He takes the time to call in and voice his comments during hearings. The guy took an entire week of vacation just to sit in on our hearings. So he's he's kind of the guy we're looking for when we want them to be participative in the community. So get a chance, welcome him. Thank you.
Any other remarks from the floor? Assemblywoman Howdegi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you all have heard, today is United Way Day, so please make sure to visit the front foyer to learn more about these organizations. Tomorrow, there is an AFP Lunch and Learn series in partnership with Capitol Leaders. It is also the Carson City Social, and I'm very excited to announce that there will be naturopathy demonstrations in the front foyer, so please stop by and learn more about naturopathy. And tomorrow is also Urban Chamber of Commerce Day. Seeing no other business before us, Mr. Speaker, I move that we stand adjourned until Thursday, May 17th at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
Is that May 18th, Assemblywoman Howdegi?
Yes, May 18th, correct.
Assemblywoman Howdegi has moved that the Assembly stand adjourned until Thursday, May 18th, 2023 at the hour of 11:30 a.m. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.